Howdy, Possum Patty here, and I'm nature journaling. It's March 31st, and I have a turkey tale to tell today. A few days ago, March 29th, I noticed a log with a lot of shelf or bracket fungus on it. It's got some amazing fungi on it. I walked over and I picked up one of the conchs and I brought it in the house to look at it under my microscope. Using my zoomy microscope, I noticed that the pores on the underside of the conch were quite maze-like and didn't look at all like the round pores that a turkey tail mushroom is supposed to have. I think this might be the violet tooth polypore, but I'm not really sure. Then on March 30th, I went down to the bog to study some sphagnum moss. On the way back, I stopped at a pile of old dead trees and some trees that were cut down during the construction of the house to look at some more shelf fungus or bracket fungus. I'm just checking through this pile of old wood here on the side of our property to see if I can find a turkey tail. And I saw these dark conchs on this log here. I found one that looked like it might be a turkey tail, and so I brought that in to look at it under the microscope. So I'm going to pull a couple off and bring them in the house. Check them with my zoomy. When I looked at it under the microscope, I did find out that it had some round pores. So this one is probably more likely to be the turkey tail mushroom than the one that I found the other day, whose pores didn't match at all what the turkey tail pores are supposed to look like. And then today I went back to the pile of wood to see what other kinds of shelf fungus I could find. Yesterday, on the way back from the bog, I passed this pile of old wood and logs, dead trees that had to be taken down during construction of the house. And some of the shelf fungus caught my eye, so I took a moment to stop and look at it and collect a few samples. As I was in search of the turkey tail fungus. A lot of lichen out here. But also a lot of shelf fungus. And then I went back to the pile of wood today to get some more samples. I'm going to take a sample with my Nature Bits and Bobs collecting system, otherwise known as a sandwich baggie. I found again this crusty looking fungus. I collected some of this yesterday, which I didn't think was a polypore. I wasn't sure what it was. But it looked like it might have some interesting pores on it, so when I brought it in and looked at it under the zoomy, I noticed that its pores were like teeth, so it had toothy pores. Quite different than the round ones on the turkey tail. And again, quite different than the one on what I think is the violet tooth polypore. So first I had these Matisse shapes, and then these round pores, and now these toothy pores. Today I made quite a discovery. Now I thought this was definitely like a bracket fungus. And Eureka, look what I found down here in this pile of logs. This is different from the other 3 or 4 that I've already seen. So I'm going to be sure to take a sample of that. I wonder what it looks like on the other side. Oh, it's covered with algae. But look where the spores are made. But when you look on the back, I said, wow, that's pretty amazing. And I brought a sample in and I looked at it. And I tried to looking it up, and it might be a mazegill mushroom. So I think it was on an oak log, so this might be the oak mazegill. And I wrote down my thoughts from today. It's quite a long story here, but basically what I'm talking about is when you go out in the woods, you stop, you look, you listen, you walk, you stop, you look, you listen, you repeat, repeat, repeat. And eventually you learn to point and say, that's a moss, that's a liverwort, that's a lichen, that's a fungus, or is it slime mold? Not sure. But from that point on, you take these little tiny baby steps, or maybe just even crawl along. Little by little, you learn to observe the differences. I spent some time peeling fungi off of dead tree trunks and looking at them with my Zoomy. I learned that mushrooms are identified by whether they make spores in gills or pores or teeth. And I thought what was a turkey tail polypore wasn't at all, because it didn't have the round pores. So I learned that there were different shapes of pores. And then the next day I looked for more bracket mushrooms, and I picked some more samples and I looked at them under the microscope. And then the one I believed to be the true turkey tail, which was this one, had round pores. And then I picked this up. I thought it was another bracket fungus, but I think it was just a crusty fungus. And it had toothy pores, but I'm not sure about this one. Maybe someday I'll discover what this one is. And then this one had these amazing mazegill-like pores. So now I can point to a turkey tail and say, that's a turkey tail. And then I can point to all these other ones and say, that's not a turkey tail. That is not a turkey tail. And that is not a turkey tail. So little by little, baby steps, I learn in nature. Thanks for coming along today. Bye-bye. On this log, there's some more bracket fungus or shell fungus, and these might be turkey tails. So I'm going to take a little sample of these. Oh, here's a different one on this side of the log. I wonder what that is. Lots of bracket fungus way in there. But I can't get to it right now. Right next to the wood pile is this tree. I think it's dead. My goodness, look at the goodies on that thing. All the way up.